In a small town where tree-lined streets and cozy cafes create a picturesque backdrop, there stood a bakery named Sweet Delights, renowned for its delectable pastries and the sweet memories it held. Yet behind this seemingly perfect facade lay a tale of tragedy and betrayal. Mia, a passionate young woman, had poured her heart and soul into saving the family bakery that had been a cornerstone of her childhood. However, when she discovered that her closest family members were secretly using her investment for personal gain, Mia was forced to confront a painful truth. Family isn't always a steadfast support. As secrets unraveled, Mia resolved not only to protect her hard-earned investment, but also to reclaim her dignity and self-worth that had been shattered. She would have to fight not just against those who had betrayed her, but also against the complex emotions swirling within her. Would Mia find the courage to stand up and rebuild her life, or would she be swept away by her family's schemes? Join us on Mia's journey, from tears to triumph, from betrayal to healing, in this heartfelt story about love, forgiveness, and the strength of a woman determined to take control of her destiny. Mia Thompson stood in the bustling kitchen of her family's bakery, Sweet Delights, her heart heavy with worry. At 30 years old, she had poured her soul into this place, crafting pastries and cakes that brought joy to the community. But now, after years of hard work, Sweet Delights was on the brink of closure. The bakery had fallen into financial trouble, and the bank was threatening foreclosure. Mia had always dreamed of taking over the family business, but her parents had other plans. They had decided to invest in a new venture, leaving the bakery's fate uncertain. When she received the desperate call from her mother, tears in her voice, Mia knew she had to act. Without hesitation, she transferred her entire life savings of $500,000 to save the bakery, believing that family loyalty would be rewarded. However, the moment she stepped into the bakery for the grand reopening, her heart sank. The atmosphere was festive, with balloons and streamers adorning the walls, but the announcement that followed shattered her hopes. "We are thrilled to announce that my son, Alex, will be the head baker from now on," her father declared, pride radiating from his voice. Mia froze, her wine glass halfway to her lips, as the crowd erupted in applause. Alex, her younger brother, had never worked a day in the bakery. He had spent his college years studying business, while Mia had honed her culinary skills, working tirelessly to keep the bakery afloat. The same brother who had always been more interested in social media than in the art of baking was now being handed the reins of the family legacy. As she watched Alex bask in the spotlight, Mia felt a bitter taste in her mouth. "This isn't right," she thought, her heart racing. She had sacrificed everything to save this bakery, and now it felt like her family was throwing her aside. With a forced smile, she raised her glass in a toast to her brother, masking the turmoil inside. "To the new head baker of Sweet Delights," she said, her voice steady despite the ice forming in her chest. But as she excused herself and stepped outside into the cool evening air, the weight of betrayal settled heavily on her shoulders. Mia pulled out her phone, scrolling through her contacts until she found Sarah, the corporate lawyer she had met at various culinary events. "I need your help with a family business matter," she texted, her fingers trembling. "Are you free to meet tomorrow?" The response came quickly. 10:00 a.m. at my office. Bring any documentation you have." Mia took a deep breath, knowing that the battle for her family's bakery was just beginning. The next morning, Mia arrived at Sarah's office, her heart pounding with a mix of anxiety and determination. The sleek modern space was a stark contrast to the warmth of Sweet Delights, but it felt like a safe haven where she could finally voice her concerns. As she sat across from Sarah, the lawyer reviewed the bank statements and documents Mia had brought along. So let me get this straight," Sarah said, looking up from the papers. "You transferred your entire life savings without any written agreement? Not even a promissory note?" Mia nodded, her throat tightening. "They're my family," she replied, the bitterness of the words lingering in her mouth. When they called about the foreclosure, all I could think about was saving our legacy. I thought they would appreciate my sacrifice. Sarah leaned back in her chair, her expression serious. And now they've made your brother the head baker, despite your investment, saving the bakery. What exactly did they promise you when you transferred the money? Mia closed her eyes, recalling the desperate phone call from her mother. My dad said I'd be taken care of, that my investment would secure my place in the family business. They promised me a future here. Anger bubbled up inside her as she opened her eyes. Instead, they're treating my contribution like it was just a family duty. Did anyone witness these conversations? Sarah asked, her tone shifting to one of urgency. Yes, Mia replied, sitting up straighter. Our accountant, Mark, was there when I arranged the transfer. He seemed uncomfortable with the whole situation and suggested we put something in writing, but my parents dismissed him, saying it would insult the family trust. Sarah's eyes gleamed with interest. Mark could be very useful. But first, we need to understand your ideal outcome. Do you want control of the bakery? Mia shook her head, her voice firm. I want my investment back with interest. Let Alex have his title. I'll start my own bakery with my money, one that will compete with Sweet Delights. Sarah smiled, a glimmer of excitement in her eyes. I have a plan. Your family's actions could constitute verbal fraud. With Mark's testimony and these bank records, we can build a strong case, but instead of filing immediately, we'll send a demand letter first. It will outline how their actions could be interpreted as deliberate financial manipulation. Mia felt a weight lift from her shoulders. What will the letter say? We demand repayment of your $500,000 plus 8% annual interest within 30 days, Sarah explained, jotting down notes. We'll also request all financial records since your investment. I suspect we'll find some interesting decisions made after they received your money. Mia nodded, a sense of empowerment washing over her. And if they refuse? Then we file a lawsuit, Sarah replied confidently. That will open their books to public scrutiny. Something tells me your brother's business education hasn't prepared him for that kind of crisis management. As Mia left the office, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was ready to fight for what was rightfully hers, and she wouldn't let her family's betrayal go unchallenged. The demand letter landed like a bombshell at Sweet Delights. Mia was at her apartment, poring over potential locations for her new bakery when her phone rang. It was Alex, his voice shrill with panic. A lawsuit? Are you insane? You're going to destroy everything our family has built. Mia remained calm, despite the storm brewing inside her. The solution is simple, Alex. Return my investment with interest, $500,000 plus 8% over the next 6 months. You can do the math. That money went into saving this bakery, your heritage too. Now you want to bankrupt us to get it back? He shot back, his tone accusatory. You're being unreasonable. You know how hard it is to run a bakery, especially now that we're trying to recover. Mia took a deep breath, steadying her voice. I'm not asking for control anymore. I'm asking for my money back. Money you took knowing exactly what you planned to do with it. There was a pause on the line, and then Alex's voice turned sly. You know, verbal agreements in family businesses are complicated. You can't prove anything. Mia smiled, though he couldn't see it. Actually, I just got off the phone with Mark, our accountant. He's given a sworn statement about the day I made the transfer, how he advised putting our agreement in writing, and how Dad promised me a secured place in the business. The line went silent for a moment before Alex's voice returned, strained. Hold on, Dad wants to talk to you. Mia braced herself as her father's voice came through, filled with frustration. Mia, what are you doing to us? After everything we've done for you? Let's talk about that, she interrupted, her voice firm. While you paid for Alex's education and his new car, I built my own life. The only time I asked for anything was when you promised me a future here in exchange for saving the bakery. We never promised you control, her father insisted, his tone softening. Alex has the education for this. I'm not asking for control anymore, Mia replied, cutting him off again. I'm asking for my money back. Money you took knowing exactly what you planned to do with it. Her father switched tactics, his voice dropping to a pleading tone. Sweetheart, be reasonable. The bakery doesn't have that kind of liquid capital right now. We'd have to take out another loan. Then I suggest you start talking to banks, Mia said, her voice steady. You have 25 days left before I file the lawsuit. And Dad, every financial decision made since my investment will be scrutinized, including the new delivery van Alex is driving and that vacation you and Mom took to Hawaii last month. She could hear muffled conversation in the background before her mother came on the line, her voice trembling. Mia, please, come over for dinner. We can talk about this as a family. We're not family right now, Mom. We're business associates in a dispute. Have your lawyer call Sarah with your response. Mia hung up, her hands shaking slightly. Almost immediately, her phone lit up with messages from relatives, ranging from angry accusations to pleas for peace. Ignoring them, she opened her laptop and began researching available bakery properties in the area. Soon, she would have some serious competition for Sweet Delights. The following week brought an unexpected revelation. Mark, the accountant, called her for coffee, his voice tense with urgency. They met at a quiet cafe away from the bakery, and he arrived clutching a thick folder. There's something you need to see, he said, glancing around nervously before sliding the folder across the table. I've been reviewing the books since your investment came in, Mark said, pointing to several highlighted entries. Your $500,000 didn't just save the bakery from foreclosure. It also funded a series of personal expenses that were logged as business costs. The new delivery van was listed as a business expense, and the Hawaii trip was marked as a team-building retreat. Mia's hands tightened around her coffee cup. They used my investment for all this? Mark nodded grimly. There's more. 2 weeks before they announced Alex as head baker, they registered a new company, Sweet Delights Holdings LLC. They've been quietly transferring bakery assets to this new entity. The original bakery company, the one you invested in, is being hollowed out. The realization hit Mia like a punch to the gut. They weren't just dismissing her contribution. They were actively working to ensure she couldn't claim anything. The bakery she had saved would soon be an empty shell. Your lawyer needs to see this, Mark said, his voice dropping lower. But you didn't get it from me. I'm looking for a new job already. I can't be associated with this kind of financial manipulation. Mia felt a mix of anger and determination. She reached for her phone to call Sarah, but it buzzed first with a text from Alex. Family meeting tonight. Don't bring your lawyer. Last chance to fix this like family. She showed Mark the text, and he shook his head. They must have figured out you were looking into the records. They're going to try to convince you to back down or threaten you. Any discussion needs to happen with lawyers present, Mia replied, remembering similar family meetings from childhood when Alex had gotten into trouble. Their parents had always found a way to shift the blame, making her the unreasonable one for not protecting her brother. Alex's response was immediate. Your choice, but don't come crying when this gets ugly. Mia called Sarah and sent her photos of Mark's documents. Sarah's sharp intake of breath told her everything. This is exactly what I was looking for, she said. They've committed multiple financial improprieties. We're not just talking about a civil suit anymore. This could lead to criminal charges. I don't want them in jail, Mia said quickly. I just want my investment back. Then we can use this as leverage. I'm drafting an amended demand letter now, Sarah replied. Instead of 30 days, they have 48 hours to either return your money with interest or face an investigation that will involve the SEC. The choice is theirs. After hanging up, Mia sat in the cafe long after Mark left, staring at the damning documents. Part of her felt guilty for what this could do to her family, but another part, the part that remembered every dismissal, every time they had favored Alex, every sacrifice she had made to help them, felt a grim satisfaction. Her phone kept buzzing with increasingly frantic messages from her parents and brother. She ignored them all and returned to her research on bakery properties, ready to take the next step in her journey. The day after sending the amended demand letter, Mia felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation. She knew that the next 48 hours would be crucial. As she sat in her apartment, she couldn't shake the feeling that her family would try to manipulate the situation further. She needed to be prepared for anything. That evening, Mia received a call from Mark. "Mia, we need to meet again. I've uncovered some more information that you should see." His voice was urgent, and Mia's heart raced as she agreed to meet him at the same cafe. When she arrived, Mark was already there, looking more anxious than before. He slid another folder across the table, his hands trembling slightly. "I've been digging deeper into the financial records, and what I found is alarming." Mia opened the folder, her eyes scanning the documents. "What is this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Since your investment, they've been transferring funds from Sweet Delights to Sweet Delights Holdings LLC. They've been using your money to pay for personal expenses, including vacations, luxury items, and even Alex's new car," Mark explained, pointing to the highlighted entries. "This is not just mismanagement, it's outright fraud." Mia felt her stomach drop. "They're using my investment to fund their lifestyle while I'm fighting to save the bakery?" The betrayal cut deep, and she could feel the anger boiling inside her. "There's more," Mark continued, his voice low. "I found evidence that they've been planning to sell the original bakery and keep the new entity running without you. They want to erase your contribution entirely." Mia's mind raced. "They can't do that. I saved this bakery. I won't let them take it away from me." Mark nodded, his expression serious. "You need to take this to your lawyer immediately. This is a strong case for fraud, and with the evidence I've gathered, you could not only reclaim your investment but also hold them accountable for their action." Mia felt a surge of determination. "I'm going to fight for what's mine. I won't let them get away with this." After their meeting, Mia called Sarah and shared the new findings. "This changes everything," Sarah said, her tone shifting to one of excitement. "With this evidence, we can file a lawsuit that will not only demand your money back, but also seek damages for the emotional distress they've caused you." Mia felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. "I just want my investment back. I never wanted it to come to this." "I understand, but sometimes you have to stand your ground," Sarah replied. "We'll prepare the lawsuit and make sure they know you're serious about this." As Mia hung up, she felt a sense of empowerment. She was no longer just a victim. She was a fighter. She began drafting a plan for her new bakery, envisioning a space that would reflect her passion and creativity, a place where she could finally showcase her skills without the shadow of her family's betrayal looming over her. The next day, Mia received a text from Alex. "We need to talk. Mom is worried about you. Please come over for dinner tonight." Mia hesitated, but then she remembered the evidence she had gathered. "Fine," she replied, "but I'm bringing my lawyer." Alex's response was immediate. "You can't do that. This is a family matter." Mia smirked, feeling a sense of satisfaction. "Exactly, and I'm treating it like one." That evening, Mia arrived at her parents' house, her heart pounding with a mix of anxiety and determination. The familiar scent of baked goods wafted through the air, a bittersweet reminder of the memories she had shared with her family in this very kitchen. As she stepped inside, she was greeted by her mother, who wore a worried expression. "Mia, I'm so glad you came," her mother said, pulling her into a tight embrace. We've been so worried about you." "Thanks, Mom," Mia replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "But we need to talk about what's been happening with the bakery." As they sat down for dinner, the atmosphere was tense. Alex fidgeted in his seat, glancing nervously at their parents. "Mia, we just want to understand why you're doing this," he said, his voice shaky. "A lawsuit? It's going to ruin everything." Mia took a deep breath, her resolve strengthening. "You don't understand, Alex. I invested my life savings to save Sweet Delights, and instead of appreciating that, you and Mom have treated me like I don't matter. You've used my money for personal expenses while I've been fighting to keep the bakery alive." Her father interjected, his tone defensive. "We never meant to hurt you, Mia. We thought you would be happy to see Alex take over. He's got the business education to run it." "Business education doesn't replace experience," Mia shot back, her frustration boiling over. "I've spent years working in that kitchen, perfecting recipes and building relationships with our customers. You can't just hand the bakery to someone who has never even baked a loaf of bread." Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "We're a family, Mia. We can work this out. Please don't take this to court." Mia felt a pang of guilt but quickly pushed it aside. "You don't get it, do you? This isn't just about the bakery, it's about respect and trust. I sacrificed everything to save this place, and now I find out you've been planning to sell it behind my back." Alex's face turned pale. "What do you mean, sell it? We would never do that." Mia pulled out the folder Mark had given her, laying it on the table. "You might want to take a look at this. It's all documented. Every transfer, every expense that was misclassified. You've been using my investment to fund your lifestyle while I've been fighting to keep the bakery afloat." The room fell silent as her parents exchanged glances, the weight of Mia's words sinking in. "You can't just throw around accusations like that," her father said, his voice trembling. "We're family." "Family doesn't betray each other," Mia replied, her voice steady. "I'm not asking for control anymore. I just want my money back. If you can't do that, then I'll have no choice but to take legal action." Her mother reached across the table, her hands shaking. "Mia, please. We can find a way to make this work. We can pay you back in installments. Just don't involve the lawyers." Mia shook her head, her heart heavy. "I've given you enough chances. You had your opportunity to be honest with me, and you chose to deceive me instead. I'm done playing nice." As the tension in the room escalated, Mia felt a sense of clarity wash over her. She was ready to take control of her life and her future. "I'm starting my own bakery, one that reflects my vision and values. I won't let you or anyone else stand in my way." With that, Mia stood up, her heart racing. "I hope you can find a way to make things right, but I won't be waiting around for you to decide. I have my own dreams to pursue." As she walked out of the house, she felt a mix of sadness and relief. She had finally stood up for herself, and no matter what happened next, she knew she was on the right path. The following days were a whirlwind for Mia. After the confrontation with her family, she felt a mix of liberation and anxiety. She had finally taken a stand, but the reality of starting her own bakery weighed heavily on her mind. With the evidence she had gathered, she was determined to reclaim her investment and build something that was truly hers. Mia spent hours researching potential locations for her new bakery. She wanted a space that was not only functional but also reflected her vision of warmth and community. After several visits, she found a charming storefront in a bustling neighborhood, complete with large windows that would allow the sunlight to pour in. It was perfect. As she began to plan her new venture, Mia reached out to Sarah to discuss the next steps regarding her family's financial misconduct. "I want to move forward with the lawsuit," she told Sarah over the phone. "I can't let them get away with this." "Absolutely," Sarah replied, her voice firm. We'll file the lawsuit and make sure they understand the seriousness of the situation. With the evidence you have, we can build a strong case." Mia felt a surge of confidence. "I want to make sure they know I'm serious about this. I'm not just fighting for my money, I'm fighting for my dignity." As the days turned into weeks, Mia worked tirelessly to prepare for the opening of her new bakery. She spent her mornings at the new location, overseeing renovations and designing the layout. In the afternoons, she experimented with recipes, determined to create a menu that would showcase her skills and passion for baking. One evening, while testing a new chocolate cake recipe, Mia received a text from Alex. "Mom and Dad want to meet with you. They're willing to negotiate. Please consider it." Mia hesitated, her heart racing. Part of her wanted to hear them out, to see if they had finally come to their senses, but another part of her felt that any negotiation would be a trap. "I'm not interested in negotiating," she replied. "I'm moving forward with my plans." The next day, Mia met with Sarah to finalize the lawsuit. "We'll file it by the end of the week," Sarah said, her expression serious. "This will send a clear message to your family that you're not backing down." As they reviewed the documents, Mia felt a sense of empowerment. She was taking control of her life, and for the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful about the future. A few days later, Mia received a call from Mark. "I have some news," he said, his voice cautious. "I've been approached by a few investors who are interested in your story. They want to help you with your new bakery and are willing to provide funding." Mia's heart raced. "Really? That's incredible. But why would they be interested in me?" "They may see potential in your vision and the challenges you've faced with your family. They believe your story could resonate with the community," Mark explained. "If you're open to it, we can set up a meeting." Mia thought for a moment. This could be the opportunity she needed to launch her bakery without the burden of financial stress. "Yes, let's do it," she replied, her excitement bubbling over. As the meeting approached, Mia prepared herself to present her vision. She wanted to convey not just her passion for baking, but also her commitment to creating a space that fostered community and connection. On the day of the meeting, Mia arrived at the cafe where they were scheduled to meet. She was nervous but determined. As she sat down with the investors, she shared her story, the struggles she faced with her family, her dreams for the bakery, and her vision for a community hub where people could gather and enjoy delicious baked goods. The investors listened intently, nodding along as she spoke. When she finished, one of them leaned forward, a smile on his face. "We love your vision, Mia. We believe in your story and want to help you make this bakery a reality." Mia felt a wave of relief wash over her. "Thank you. I won't let you down." As the meeting concluded, they discussed the terms of the investment, and Mia felt a sense of hope for the future. She was finally on the path to creating something that was truly hers, free from the shadows of her family's betrayal. With the lawsuit filed and the investment secured, Mia was ready to take the next step. She was determined to build her bakery from the ground up, a place that would reflect her values and her journey. Weeks passed, and Mia poured her heart and soul into her new bakery, which she decided to name Mia's Delights. With the investment secured, renovations were completed, and the space transformed into a warm, inviting environment filled with the aroma of freshly baked goods. The walls were adorned with local artwork, and the seating area was designed for comfort, encouraging customers to linger and enjoy their treats. As the grand opening approached, Mia felt a mix of excitement and nerves. She had worked tirelessly to create a menu that showcased her skills, featuring everything from artisanal breads to decadent pastries. She wanted her bakery to be a place where people felt at home, a community hub where everyone was welcome. On the day of the grand opening, Mia arrived early to set up. She arranged the pastries in the display case, ensuring everything looked perfect. As the clock ticked closer to opening time, she could feel her heart racing. Would anyone show up? Would they love her creations? When the doors finally opened, a small crowd had gathered outside, eager to get a taste of Mia's delights. As the first customers walked in, Mia greeted them with a warm smile, her heart swelling with pride. She watched as they sampled her pastries, their faces lighting up with delight. "Wow, this chocolate croissant is amazing," one customer exclaimed, and Mia felt a rush of joy. This was what she had dreamed of, a place where her passion for baking could shine. Throughout the day, the bakery buzzed with activity. Mia moved from the kitchen to the front, chatting with customers and receiving compliments on her creations. She felt a sense of fulfillment she hadn't experienced in a long time. This was her space, her dream, and it was finally coming to life. As the day wore on, Mia received a text from Sarah. "I heard the opening was a success. Let's meet next week to discuss the next steps in the lawsuit." Mia smiled at the message, feeling a sense of empowerment. She was ready to face her family and hold them accountable for their actions. The bakery was thriving, and she was determined to protect what she had built. Later that evening, as the last customers left and Mia began to clean up, she reflected on how far she had come. She had taken a leap of faith, and it had paid off. The support from the community had been overwhelming, and she felt grateful for every person who had walked through her doors. Just as she was about to close up for the night, her phone buzzed with a call from her mother. Mia hesitated but decided to answer. "Hi, Mom." "Mia, we need to talk," her mother said, her voice shaky. "We've been hearing great things about your bakery. I'm proud of you." Mia felt a mix of emotions. "Thank you, but I'm still moving forward with the lawsuit. I can't just forget what happened." "I understand," her mother replied, her tone softening. "But we want to make things right. Your father and I are willing to meet with you and discuss how we can resolve this without going to court." Mia's heart raced. Part of her wanted to hear them out, but she also felt a strong urge to protect herself. "I'll think about it, but I need to prioritize my bakery right now." After hanging up, Mia took a deep breath. She had built something beautiful, and she wasn't going to let her family's past mistakes overshadow her success. She was ready to face whatever came next, whether it was a legal battle or a chance to reconcile. As the days turned into weeks, Mia's delights continued to flourish. The community embraced her bakery, and word spread quickly about her delicious offerings. Mia felt a sense of belonging she had longed for, and she was determined to keep building her dream. One evening, as she was closing up, Mia received a surprise visit from Mark. "I wanted to congratulate you on the success of your bakery," he said, beaming with pride. "You've done an incredible job." "Thank you, Mark. I couldn't have done it without your support," Mia replied, feeling grateful for his guidance. "I also wanted to discuss the lawsuit," he continued, his expression turning serious. "Your family has reached out to settle. They're willing to negotiate a repayment plan for your investment." Mia's heart raced. This was the moment she had been waiting for. "What do you think I should do?" "Consider your options carefully," Mark advised. "If you feel comfortable negotiating, it could save you time and stress, but make sure you protect your interests." Mia nodded, deep in thought. She wanted to ensure her family understood the consequences of their actions, but she also didn't want to drag this out any longer than necessary. "I'll think about it," she said finally. As she locked up for the night, Mia felt a sense of clarity. She had built her bakery from the ground up, and no matter what happened with her family, she was ready to face the future on her own terms. As the days passed, Mia found herself contemplating the offer from her family to negotiate a repayment plan. The thought of facing them again stirred a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and a flicker of hope. She had worked so hard to establish her bakery, and now she had the chance to reclaim her investment. But could she trust them to honor their word? Mia decided to meet with Sarah to discuss the potential negotiation. "I'm torn," she admitted as they sat in the cozy corner of Mia's delights, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee surrounding them. Part of me wants to settle this and move on, but another part of me feels like I need to hold them accountable. Sarah nodded, her expression thoughtful. It's understandable. You've been through a lot, and it's important to protect yourself. If you decide to meet with them, make sure you have clear terms in mind. You deserve to be compensated fairly for what they've done. Mia took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision ahead of her. I want to make sure they understand the impact of their actions. I don't want this to be just a simple repayment. I want them to acknowledge the betrayal. Then set the tone for the meeting, Sarah advised. Be firm about your expectations. You have every right to demand respect and accountability. With Sarah's encouragement, Mia agreed to the meeting. She reached out to her mother to arrange a time, and they settled on a weekend afternoon at a neutral cafe. As the day approached, Mia prepared herself mentally, rehearsing what she wanted to say and how she would handle the conversation. On the day of the meeting, Mia arrived early, her heart racing with anticipation. She chose a table in the corner, hoping for some privacy. When her parents arrived, they looked nervous but determined. Mia's mother offered a tentative smile, while her father's expression was more guarded. "Thank you for meeting with us, Mia," her mother said, her voice shaky. "We really want to make things right." Mia nodded, her expression serious. "I appreciate that, but I need to be clear about what I expect from this conversation." Her father shifted in his seat, his discomfort evident. "We understand that we made mistakes and we're willing to pay you back. We just want to find a way to move forward as a family." Mia took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words. Moving forward means acknowledging what happened. You used my investment for personal expenses while I was trying to save the bakery. I need you to understand how that affected me. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "We never meant to hurt you, Mia. We thought we were doing what was best for the bakery." "Best for the bakery?" Mia echoed, her voice steady. "You put your interests above mine. I want my full investment back, $500,000 plus interest. I've given you enough chances to do the right thing." Her father's face paled. "That's a lot of money, Mia. We can't pay you back all at once. We were thinking of a repayment plan." Mia felt a surge of frustration. "A repayment plan is not enough. You need to understand the gravity of your actions. I want a formal agreement that outlines the terms clearly, including a timeline for repayment." Her parents exchanged worried glances, and Mia could see the realization dawning on their faces. "We'll do our best to come up with a plan," her mother said, her voice trembling. "But we need time." "Time is something I've already given you," Mia replied firmly. "I'm not asking for a favor. I'm demanding what is rightfully mine. If you can't agree to my terms, I will have no choice but to proceed with the lawsuit." The tension in the air was palpable as her parents processed her words. Finally, her father spoke up. "We'll consider your terms and get back to you. We want to resolve this, Mia. We really do." Mia nodded, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. "I hope you do. I want to move on, but I need to know that you're serious about making things right." As they parted ways, Mia felt a sense of empowerment. She had stood her ground and made her expectations clear. Now, it was up to her family to decide how they would respond. In the following days, Mia focused on her bakery, pouring her energy into creating new recipes and building relationships with her customers. The community continued to embrace her, and she felt a sense of belonging that she had longed for. Then, a few days later, Mia received a call from her mother. "We've discussed your terms and we're willing to meet again to finalize a repayment plan," she said, her voice more confident this time. Mia's heart raced. "Thank you for considering it. When can we meet?" "Let's say this weekend," her mother suggested. "We'll bring a proposal." Mia agreed, feeling a mix of hope and caution. She was ready to see if her family would honor their word and take responsibility for their actions. The weekend arrived, and Mia felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety as she prepared for the meeting with her parents. She had spent the week refining her bakery's menu and focusing on her customers, but the upcoming conversation loomed over her like a storm cloud. She wanted to believe that her family was genuinely committed to making amends, but she also knew she had to protect herself. When she arrived at the cafe, her parents were already seated at a table, looking more composed than during their last meeting. Mia took a deep breath and approached them, her heart pounding. "Thank you for meeting with me again," she said, trying to keep her tone neutral. "Mia, we've put together a proposal for you," her father said, sliding a document across the table. "We want to make this right." Mia picked up the document and began to read. The proposal outlined a repayment plan that included a timeline for paying back her investment, along with interest. It wasn't everything she had initially demanded, but it was a step in the right direction. "This is a good start," Mia said, looking up at her parents. "But I need to know that you're committed to following through. I can't go through this again." Her mother nodded earnestly. "We understand, and we're willing to sign a formal agreement. We want to rebuild our relationship with you, Mia. We've realized how much we've hurt you, and we're truly sorry." Mia felt a wave of emotion wash over her. It was the acknowledgement she had longed for, but she still needed to be cautious. "If we're going to do this, I want regular updates on the repayment progress. I need to feel secure in this agreement." "Of course," her father replied, his voice steady. "We'll keep you informed every step of the way." After some back-and-forth discussion, they finalized the terms of the agreement. Mia felt a sense of relief wash over her as they all signed the document. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was a step toward healing and rebuilding trust. As they left the cafe, Mia felt lighter. "Thank you for being willing to work with me," she said, looking at her parents. "I hope we can move forward from this." Her mother smiled, tears in her eyes. "We love you, Mia. We want to be a part of your life again." Mia nodded, feeling a flicker of hope. "I love you too. Let's take it one step at a time." In the following weeks, Mia focused on her bakery and the new agreement with her parents. The community continued to support her, and she found joy in creating new recipes and hosting events that brought people together. She even started a weekly baking class, where she shared her passion with others and fostered a sense of community. As the repayment plan progressed, Mia received regular updates from her parents. They were committed to honoring their agreement, and she felt a sense of trust beginning to rebuild. It was a slow process, but she was willing to give it time. One evening, as Mia closed up the bakery, she received a text from Sarah. "I'm proud of you, Mia. You handled the negotiation with grace and strength. You've come so far." Mia smiled at the message, feeling a sense of accomplishment. She had faced her fears and stood up for herself, and now she was building a life that reflected her values and dreams. As the months went by, Mia's delights became a beloved fixture in the community. Mia found fulfillment not only in her baking but also in the connections she was forming with her customers and her family. She realized that while the past had been painful, it had also shaped her into the person she was today. One sunny afternoon, as she served a group of regular customers, Mia looked around her bakery and felt a deep sense of gratitude. She had created a space filled with love, laughter, and delicious treats. It was a place where she could share her passion and connect with others, and it was everything she had ever wanted. As she wiped down the counter, Mia felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had faced her challenges head-on, and while the journey was far from over, she was ready to embrace whatever came next. With her bakery thriving and her family beginning to heal, Mia knew that she was on the right path. And in that moment, she realized that this was just the beginning of her story, a story of resilience, love, and the sweet taste of new beginnings.